This shit get crazy, nigga. How the fuck I turn to a star? This shit get crazy, nigga. Who would thought I made it this far? This shit get crazy, nigga. Remember them days I couldn't afford a car. This shit get crazy, nigga. This shit get crazy. This shit get crazy, nigga. How the fuck I turn to a star? This shit get crazy, nigga. Who would thought I make it this far? This shit get crazy, nigga. Remember them days I couldn't afford a car. This shit get crazy, nigga. This shit get crazy. It's only right that I put on for us. I'm chasing bigger bucks. I still got love for a lot of people, not too many I trust. But
hey, what it is, what it ain't. Hey, this your boy Lil Duwatt, and you are now tuned into the Mercenary podcast. Hey, happy Monday, y'all. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Happy Tuesday. But yeah, happy Tuesday to anybody there. I'm sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained the last couple of days. I've been trying to drop videos and everything, been coming late. Had a video drop last night on Saturday's night main event that I made Sunday. I've been trying to edit it for a couple days. So I'm a little scatterbrained right now, but happy Tuesday to anybody who's watching this podcast. Or whenever this podcast drop, if it pops today or tomorrow, the way that my phone and the YouTube and stuff been working lately, it's like, man, my stuff ain't dropping until the next day almost for the most part. So whenever you watch this, it's appreciated. But as of right now, happy Tuesday. Today, I hope everybody had a great beginning of their week. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody's feeling good. I hope everybody's feeling blessed today. We have yet another Monday Night Raw review to get into. So, like I said, I would have did a review last night, but the way the stuff was gonna be functioning, I was like, I might as well just go ahead and do it the next day so I can get a chance, get up, kind of think about what I saw last night. And then I'm just gonna get straight into it. To be honest with you, last night's Monday Night Raw was kind of boring. I'm gonna be honest, boring because it didn't tell any stories. It didn't in the stories that it did tell, it's the same exact story over and over again. We're gonna get into that. But before we get into it, I gotta thank my sponsor, your sponsor, our sponsor, God. Because without him, I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be here talking about the things that we are talking about today. So shout out to the big God, shout out to God for sponsoring this podcast and everything we do with everything we do every day, every night, every breath we take. All shout out to the big God. So with that being said, let's get into it. We start off Monday Night Raw with Division, Braun Breaker and Austin Theory, Maxine Dupree, and Logan Paul. Basically with being Logan Paul, Maxine Dupree being on the side. Braun Breaker and Austin Theory versus the new makeshift tag team of Dragon Lee and you had it, your boy Bouncy, Javon Evans. This was a really, I'm not gonna lie, I liked the segment. It was entertaining. I just didn't I really just didn't understand why Dragon Lee. Maybe I missed something in last week's Raw because I didn't get to watch last week's Raw like I got to watch it last night. But I knew that they had like some kind of chemistry, but weren't these guys just in like the Intercontinental Championship gauntlet last week? How are they end up in the tag team, man? Like, I knew they weren't exactly ops or whatever, but why are they in what made them why are they in a tag team match against the reigning defending world tag team champions, Braun Breaker and Austin Theory? I didn't understand that. The segment itself was good. It was entertaining. Division, they picked up a win. They picked up the win over Javon Evans and Dragon Lee, even though Dragon Lee and Javon Evans they put on a hell of a match, especially Javon Evans. Javon Evans just got future Intercontinental Champion written all over him, maybe even future World Champion someday, just written all over him. I just got so much love for that kid. For him to be 21, 22 years old and doing what he's doing, he's phenomenal. And I put a lot of stock into Javon Evans, and I've been putting more stock into Dragon Lee lately too. I really believe Dragon Lee is one of those guys. He's underrated, but when the last few matches he's been in has been really entertaining, especially in that godly match last week against Javon Evans. That was really entertaining. But unfortunately, they didn't get the win. Division kind of they usually do what they usually do, kind of cheat to win this match. Braun Breaker hit a massive spear on Javon Evans, and then hit a super spear combo with Austin Theory to win this match. And Division go on to then start attacking Javon Evans and Dragon Lee, and right on cue as they're attacking Javon Evans, the Alpha Academy comes out. And you know, this is the story I'm kind of watching the most, because I'm kind of seeing with, like, this is one of those underrated stories that I feel like I'm watching, because I want to see what WWE, where they take it, because they can actually, like, I wasn't a fan of them even still having Division together. But like I said on the last week's episode of I want to see how they're going to put these stories together. Even if you're gonna go a different route, at least, like I always say on every pod, on every Raw review, every SmackDown review, I want to see these stories connect, and I want to see them make sense. And this is a story that I feel like is really good. And it has a lot of potential, and Otis is obviously one of those guys that you just can never boo. Him and Io Sky, they are just like the biggest baby faces in WWE, and one of the biggest baby faces in WWE history, where when you see them, you just have to cheer for them. Like, Io is so adorable, and Otis is just like the lovable uncle that you just can't be mad at it for anything. You just love. And I just thought that it made, and along with Akira Tozawa, you know, I believe in the power of Tozawa. I always believe in the power of Tozawa. I'm not sure exactly where they're gonna go. I would love for this to end up being on a match at SummerSlam, but they officially made this match, coming off the heels of Maxine Dupree basically betraying Alpha Academy. They had been teasing that for some months, and they finally went through with it, and it's actually been pretty good. I would say, I would actually say that Maxine Dupree has been the MVP of Division already. She, without Paul Heyman, Maxine Dupree has made Austin Theory look better, and she's actually made Division look more impressive, to be honest. They look more like they look more impressive. They look more cohesive, and they look more like douchebags, to be honest with you, which they kind of are supposed to be. But they look there now with this Austin Theory and Maxine whole thing, it makes them look even more like douchebags. You know, I ain't gonna even lie to you. But her being in there, I never would have thought this, but like in a couple weeks that she's been doing this, she is actually making Austin Theory look better. She's making Logan Paul look better. And even though Logan Paul, to his credit, is a star with or without Division, he's Logan Paul, like, he's just hurt. So he's just by default doesn't look as well. And Braun Breaker, who's I still believe is a future world heavyweight champion, future WWE champion. That's kind of why I didn't want Division to win the world titles, world tag team titles, excuse me. And I was kind of hoping that they were going to break up and Braun was going to go his way. That Paul Heyman's basically already said you don't need him last week, so he's basically done with it. And I was kind of hoping that Braun Breaker was going to follow suit with that. But to their credit, they have, with Maxine being a part of this, they have looked good. But I want to see where they go with this. They have WWE announced last night that I believe it's next week on Raw. It will be Division versus Alpha Academy for the tag team championships. And this kind of bothers me a little bit, because I kind of hope that this match makes it to SummerSlam. I know it's probably not, because the feud kind of just started and you're still trying to build that story. Hopefully next week something happens where the Division cheats, and then Adam Pearce then says they will defend their championship next Saturday or Sunday at SummerSlam against Alpha Academy, because I would love to see Alpha Academy finally win the World Tag Team Championship gold. Akira Tozawa and Otis, I feel like they've deserved it. They have been handed so much chicken shit over the last few years, and they've done their best to try to make lemonade out of it or tuna salad, whatever you want to call it, and make the best out of it. And especially Otis, like, and they've gotten over, even with the limited booking, even with them being jobbers, they've gotten over just off their personality alone. And that's, to me, that's why I've always been fans of Alpha Academy. I really want to see where they go with this. I kind of hope that they continue to tell this story. And I would love to see Alpha Academy come out on top with the tag team championships. And I would love, because I don't think Bron Breakker needs to be in the division. Like I said this a week ago, I'm going to continue to say this. I don't believe Bron Breakker needs to be in the division. Division can lose the tag team championships, and Bron Breakker can spear the hell out of Austin Theory and beat the hell out of him and go about his business and disappear for a while and pop back out with Paul Heyman. And you can still have division with Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Maxine. You can still do that. Yes, Logan Paul is hurt. Yes, I get it. But you can still do that. You can still have them be division. You can still have them come out and be a tandem. You can still have them be heels and still be heels. You can do that. You can do it. I don't think Bron Breakker needs to be in this, because honestly, even though the division has looked better in the last couple of weeks with Maxine, they haven't, like, Bron Breakker being included in that just doesn't sit right with me, and I just kind of hope that we move forward from that. But solid segment, solid promo. Solid segment. Like I said, kind of confused on the whole Dragon Lee and Javon Evans thing, but I kind of get to where they were trying to go, and hopefully they're going to where I think they're going. After that, we get a segment with I believe it was Danhausen, if I'm not mistaken. Danhausen, Dominic Mysterio, and JD McDonough and Liv Morgan, the Judgment Day, trying to get, basically for weeks they've been trying to get the money that Danhausen has stolen from them, because he did steal the money. And they've been trying to get this fake money back from him. I guess apparently it's fake, I don't know, whatever. And they've been trying to get their money from him. Danhausen says, "I just have one thing to say, you are cursed," and then tries to run away from them. Danhausen is regardless of how you feel about the segment, Danhausen is entertaining. He's just a funny ass dude to me. They then jump him, they attack him, and then they as they're attacking him, none other than Joe Hendry pops out, and everybody turned around, and you would have thought Brock Lesnar was better to hit the curtains the way Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio turned around. And all due respect to Joe Hendry, since coming from TNA to from NXT to the main roster, has been not TNA and NXT specifically, because he was pretty successful there, even though he wasn't on TNA that long. He was at least a NXT World Champion. He goes to the main roster, and he has just been a straight up jobber. And now they have him in this feud with the Judgment Day and Dominic Mysterio. He was feuding with Logan Paul at first, but then Logan Paul got hurt, so they just switched from Logan Paul to Dominic Mysterio. And Dominic Mysterio, being the AAA Mega Champion, I don't understand why he's the AAA Mega Champion if you're just gonna keep booking him in these silly kind of segments every week. Dominic Mysterio is one of the most over heels that you have on a roster, and you're not utilizing him the way that they was the last couple of years. Now he went from being a two-time Intercontinental Champion and having the AAA Mega Championship to basically this year, from last year to this year, to basically even still with the AAA Mega Championship that he's held for nearly a year now. And he has not done anything significant at all. And while I do like Danhausen, some of the like the Judgment Day segments with Danhausen, to me, yeah, they're silly, but the Judgment Day used to be taken seriously. And it's hard to take the Judgment Day seriously these days when you're in these type of segments with Danhausen. And it kind of makes you look bad, especially with Liv Morgan also being a part of these segments and being the women's world champion. And she needs to have her own thing going on because she has Io Sky. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That she has to face at SummerSlam. But I get it. For an entertainment standpoint, I get it. So yeah, that happens. Joe Hendry comes out. He attacks the Judgment Day. Attacks JD McDonough. Hits a fall away slam on Dominic Mysterio. Does his patented turnaround meme face, which I just think is funny as hell every time. I don't know why. It's just like, dude, it's just a whole meme. But and then we go from there, and the segment itself was what it was. It was just a Danhausen. By the way, be prepared. If you watched Monday Night Raw last night, or if you didn't watch Monday Night Raw last night, be prepared. This was a lot of this. Last night's Monday Night Raw was heavy Judgment Day, heavy Danhausen. Like, yeah, that's why I say kind of boring, not telling any stories, but kind of forcing Danhausen and Judgment Day down our throat on Monday Night Raw. But even if I feel like the segment itself was okay, it was just, you know, it is, when it's Danhausen, it's always going to be silly. You don't expect nothing serious to come from that anyway. We didn't go backstage. Danhausen, Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, Liv Morgan are all backstage arguing about the money. Liv Morgan had stolen the money that Danhausen brought back, that he had brought to the ring, and tried to run away with, and she had stole the money. I guess just to find out that the money was fake. JD McDonough was in backstage. They're fighting over the bag. JD McDonough accidentally throws the bag, and it hits somebody in the face. And the person that it hit in the face, and why I feel like, yeah, the Danhausen segments are entertaining, but the curse is something, the way that they're pushing this curse is very real. The last person that you would want to hit in the face, if you're JD McDonough hits none other than the ruler, the destroyer, the bringer of war, Oba Femi, in the face with the bag of money. And Oba is immediately pissed. He's already not been in a good mood because of the Brock Lesnar thing. Because he's ready to get his hands on Brock Lesnar, so he's already been pissed off. And the last thing you want if you're JD McDonough is to have a 6'6", 300+ pound Titan on your ass in Oba Femi. And JD, it was just that part, I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of hilarious to me. It was just kind of like, it was a little funny to me. Oba's trying to figure out who threw the money, and JD immediately's like, Danhausen did it. It was Danhausen, and Danhausen said JD just one threw it. and Oba's like, oh, is that right? And Adam Pearce is there, by the way. All of this is going on backstage. Adam Pearce is there. Adam Pearce is just trying to sort all of this out. And Adam Pearce says, you know, we're just gonna have, as usual, we're gonna have a match. JD, man, how does that sound? JD McDonough versus Oba Femi next. And JD McDonough is immediately like, no. And in this segment, I ain't gonna lie, I felt kind of bad for JD McDonough in this segment. But it was just like, I was just like, damn. I was just like, JD McDonough, he always get the short end of the stick, bro. He is one of the, like, he is an amazing performer. He is an amazing seller, but he gets the short end of the stick since he's gotten on the main roster. And he sells incredibly. He goes, and so they have that match. Dominic says that's not fair. Joe Hendry is also back there. And Adam Pearce, being the petty general manager that he is, basically says, you know what, Dom, you're right, it's not fair. you also get a match tonight against Joe Hendry. So I'm like, Dom's like, what? Like, I'm like Liv, and so Liv is pissed off and everything. So I'm just like, hey, I'll take Joe Hendry over Femi. I feel like JD McDonough's is like, hey, why I couldn't get Joe Hendry? I would rather get him than over Femi. So we didn't get Joe Hendry. We didn't get Oba versus JD McDonough, and as you would expect, JD McDonough gets absolutely ran over in this match. He tried to put up a fight at the beginning, but it didn't do nothing but piss Oba off, and Oba hit him with some vicious uppercuts, and it's clues, and I love when and running at full speed. It just looked like he got even bigger, stronger, and faster every week you see him, and hit him with some brutal uppercuts, and then he hits him with it. And I love when he does this, like he picks him up. I call it like the little pizza toss, and he just throws him away. I don't know if it's a pizza toss or if it's what you want to call it, and not a pizza toss, but a disc toss, whatever you want to call it, man. I love when he does it. They basically he threw JD McDonough halfway across the ring, picks him up for a fall of grace, hits him with a massive fall of grace, and then of course Obafemi gets the 1, 2, 3 match over like that. Obafemi then says, he looks into the camera and says, all of this BS, all this fake money BS, all this running and ducking is all over now. He said, sending a clear message to Brock Lesnar. Talking to Brock Lesnar, basically telling Brock Lesnar, I'm coming for you, and that is over. And before he leaves the ring, and he was about to leave out the ring, and then he remembered, oh, let me hit you with this fire-ass silhouette. And he hits you with the silhouette, and it's just like, this dude is just going to be the face of the company for the next 10, 15 years. That's all I got out of this match. And JD McDonough, once again, looks like a damn fool. Even though I personally like JD McDonough. But he just looked like a damn fool in that match. Which is kind of what they've booked him to do at this point. But yeah, we go from there. We have a Solo Sikoa comes out on Monday Night Raw, and he's talking about, he's still in his ongoing feud with the Bloodline, and the Bloodline is trying to bring him back to the family, and he's still with the feud, and he calls out, of all people, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins comes out. He then welcomes Solo Sikoa to Monday Night Rollins, as he calls it, and asks Solo Sikoa what he can do for him. And Solo Sikoa basically says that Seth has no way of beating Roman Reigns one-on-one by himself, because it's not going to be one-on-one. The Bloodline is going to get involved, and that's the game plan. He knows it, because that's the game plan from when he was in the Bloodline the last couple of years. And he also tells Seth to think about it, to ask Seth for ask Seth, can he help him? And Solo says to Seth that he wants to help him at SummerSlam, that he can do for Seth what Seth did for Cody at WrestleMania 40, and be excited, kind of like his Shield, and beat Roman Reigns and get the World Heavyweight Championship off Roman Reigns at SummerSlam for Seth Rollins. Seth then says he understands where Solo is coming from, but he also says that that's something he has to think about. So he says, just, you have to give me time, Uso. That's just like, and I'll think about it, and I'll get back to you on that. And as he's about to walk out of the ring, Solo's like, looking at him like, what the hell? You think about what he did? Grabs Seth Rollins, turns him around, and is like, what the hell? Where's there to think about? There's nothing to think about. He said, if you don't have me to help you, the Roman Reigns is going to beat you, and it's gonna be one-on-one. It's gonna be Bloodline, and you're not gonna win. before he could finish what he was saying, he then get interrupted by Jacob Fatu, the enforcer, the Samoan werewolf, the enforcer of the bloodline for Roman Reigns right now. And Jacob Fatu comes out. He's trying to chase down Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa looking like, when as soon as he heard the music, like, oh shit, here he comes again, and I got to deal with this. Here he goes again. So he deals with that. They get out of the ring. He runs out of the ring. Jacob saying, you know what you gotta do, yelling at Solo, you know what you gotta do, you know what time it is. Basically telling him that it's time for Solo to come home, back to the bloodline. Same thing that they've been doing for weeks on in, weeks in and week out. Basically telling that Solo that he has to come back to the bloodline, and we'll see how this story plays out. He turns around and gets a super kick from Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins laughs. He gets out of the ring. Jacob pissed, but then he kind of smiles like, yeah, okay, you got one up on me. And if you know Jacob Fatu, you know he ain't gonna forget that, and he gonna definitely get his he gonna come back for his pound of flesh eventually. Nothing more I can really say about this segment. I mean, it was an okay segment. Just kind of, once again, furthering the bloodline segment. I know I said a few months ago, even before Jacob Fatu even joined the bloodline, even before he even feuded with Roman Reigns a couple months ago, way before Tribal Combat, I did say that I would love to see the visual of the entire bloodline in the ring standing side by side. I said months ago, this was like during WrestleMania, right before WrestleMania, I said that I would love to see them standing side by side. I just don't know how they're gonna get there because of the story that everybody's telling. Everybody has different stories. Like Roman has said, everybody's like this and he wants them like this. And especially with Solo being a heel, and then Jacob at the time on SmackDown, and then Jacob comes to Raw. And that's basically how that story was starting to unfold. And Jacob loses Tribal Combat, and now he has to, he has to acknowledge his the tribal chief, and now works with the family and the bloodline, and now moving on to this point. So I like how they're trying to tell this story, because I had no clue how they were going to tell this story to kind of get the entire bloodline on the same accord. I do think that's going to happen eventually, but as of right now, that's not the case. To be honest with you, the bloodline to me is not even heels. They haven't done anything heel work. To be fair, Roman hasn't even been a heel in the last year or so since he's come back. He's been trying to do everything the right way. Everybody that has a problem with the bloodline, it has a problem with the bloodline based off stuff that happened in the past, a la LA Knight. And that's why it's like, who's the babyface, who's the heels in these situations? It's just kind of weird. Even though I would love to see the visual of Jacob, Solo, Roman, the Usos all together. It is kind of weird to see how these stories are kind of playing out with, like, we don't exactly know who the baby faces and the heels are in these situations when it comes to the bloodline right now. It seems like WWE is kind of half-assing with they're putting their foot in the water and then dipping it and taking it right back out when it comes to actually thinking about turning the bloodline full heel, which I feel like you're probably gonna have to do, especially with Obafemi probably coming after them in the near future. Like, it was a good segment. It was an okay segment, good segment. Just further along the bloodline story. We'll see where it goes from here. We'll see what happens at SummerSlam. This Raw was kind of building up toward Jacob Fatu having a match against LA Knight in the main event of Monday Night Raw last night, and that was one of the things that propelled it. Okay segment. We'll see where they go from there. It was pretty decent. It was okay. Like I said, it's a whole lot of baby faces. Don't really know who's supposed to be the healers in this situation, but we'll see. We'll see. We then get a. Who was it? We didn't get a match with I believe it was Joe Hendry versus, like we mentioned earlier, Joe Hendry versus Dominic Mysterio. It was a lot of, obviously what happened earlier in the night led to this. We already went through that. Solid match, pretty good match. Obviously you knew it was gonna be a lot of quirkiness. I love the Eddie Guerrero shirts that both Dom and Liv was wearing. I liked it. I thought that was awesome that they had those on. That caught my eye. I fuck with it. Pretty good match, pretty solid match. Dominic Mysterio try as usual. Ding Dirty Dom tries to cheat in this match with Liv Morgan. But then they have Danhausen tries to come out and interrupt this match again, and like he came out earlier. Like I said, it's a lot of Danhausen last night. It was a lot of Danhausen. Danhausen comes out. He then I guess he called himself trying to be a distraction, but just to get hit in the jaw by Liv Morgan, and then she sends him back to the locker room. And I'm just like, okay, what was the purpose of that? That didn't make no sense to me at all. Like, I didn't get that at all. Like, why have him come out just to get hit in the jaw and roll back? Like, makes Danhausen look kind of weak, honestly. And but Danhausen then disappears. The match continues. Dom's trying to get the win, but before they can try to win, before he can get the win, Danhausen comes back out in his little housing mobile, and then he has none other than the aforementioned, who I mentioned earlier, Io Sky. And then you hear Corey Graves say, Michael Cole said, I told you the curse is real. And Io Sky comes out. She attacks, she's attacking Liv Morgan. She's attacking Liv Morgan. They have a brawl. She then ends up in the ring, and they're brawling, and she gets them out of the ring. Io, like I said, is just so adorable. You just cannot boo Io. Even when she was a heel, you just really couldn't boo Io, man. She's just too adorable, man. She just has babyface aura that you just can't boo. And I love when she does her basically like she does these two front flip kip ups and does her emote like this. You just can't boo her. You just can't boo her. Then she gets out of the ring as she gets Liv Morgan out of the ring. Danhausen then comes in and hits Dominic Mysterio with his finisher, a reverse DDT, and then Joe Hendry's looking like, all right, while the ref was distracted, Joe Hendry then comes out then Joe Hendry then gets the pin and gets the 1-2-3 over Dominic Mysterio and gets a much needed win that Joe Hendry actually needed, and gets the 1-2-3 over Dominic Mysterio, and now the match is over. Io, Joe, and Danhausen are on top in victory over the Judgment Day in this segment. Like I said, good segment. It was okay. Like I said, it was okay. Just a lot of more of the same Judgment Day, Danhausen. I'm starting to get tired of that. I ain't gonna lie, I'm tired of saying that. Like, even though like I think Danhausen is entertaining, I want to see the Judgment Day in more serious feuds. I want to see Liv Morgan actually just feud with Io Sky straight up without having to be part of this Danhausen shenanigans. And I want to see Dominic Mysterio be the AAA Mega Champion, actually have to defend his championship more often on AAA, and actually, go against valuable challengers. If you want to defend his championship on Raw more often against a couple of guys on AAA, you can do that. Because as of right now, he's just like the AAA champion until El Grande Americano eventually takes the belt from him, because that's where it's headed. Because right now the entire country of Mexico is behind El Grande Americano. So and that's looking like that's where that's gonna head. So, but I would love to see them like have more feuds, more serious feuds. Have Liv Morgan have this feud with Io Sky, win, and then hopefully she goes on to say, hopefully they go on to start telling this story with her and Roxanne, or her and Raquel, and they kind of have that divide, because eventually they're gonna have to tell that story. They can't keep waiting on Stephanie Valkyrie to show up, who's injured, who's probably gonna return. They can't keep waiting on Becky Lynch to have to pop up and try to pull things and get involved in situations like this. They can't keep waiting on Naomi to come out, even though I'm waiting on Naomi. I'm not gonna say that. But you know what I'm saying? They can't get. I'm waiting on Naomi. I actually hopes Naomi comes back and wins Money in the Bank again, and gets her women's championship, her women's world championship right back. That's what I'm actually hoping. But to that point, they can't keep having these. They can't just keep waiting for somebody to open up. You have a roster full of people. You have stories that you can tell. You have people that she can go up against. She can go up against a Paige. She can go up against a Bailey. She can go up against a Lyra Valkyria. There are people there that you can tell stories to build for Liv Morgan. I'm tired of seeing them and her in this Danhausen stuff. I like Danhausen. I love how entertaining he is. I really like Danhausen, but I do not want to see her in these Danhausen segments. I really don't. But overall, like I said, okay segment. Entertaining from an Io Sky standpoint. Just seeing her come out and just in a Danhausen standpoint, it was entertaining, but not really much story anywhere to be found. And we just kind of go from there. After that, we didn't get I want to say we got, I believe that's when, did we get into the main event right after? There may have been one other match that I'm not thinking about. Like literally, that's how much of a blur Monday Night Raw was last night to me. Like Monday Night Raw was that much of a blur to me. It was we didn't get to the main event that they basically were pushing. We had a segment before the main event where you had Jacob Fatu and Seth Rollins, saying that Jacob basically saying this ain't the same guy. He's under strict orders now these days, and I bet you want to hit him, you want to hit me, but you can't hit me because you're under strict orders from Roman Reigns and and you ain't, this ain't the Samoan werewolf that he knows, or whatever. And Jacob then says, all right, you got one up on me tonight. He says, but if there's Jacob then tells Seth, if there's anything after him after SummerSlam, he's coming to beat his ass. In classic Jacob Fatu fashion, he's coming to beat his ass, and that's a match that I really want to see as well. Seth Rollins versus Jacob Fatu. That's a sleeper match that I'm really interested in watching. After SummerSlam, whenever that match happens, I'm interested in seeing that match. But we then go from there, and we have LA Knight come out, and he cuts a promo on Solo Sikoa. He cuts out a promo on everybody he's tagged on the Royce Keys. On the Bloodline, obviously he's been feuding with the Bloodline, and he has Royce Keys on his side, and he also has Solo Sikoa because he felt like he could trust Solo Sikoa for that one night. But then he sees Solo Sikoa come out, and he says he's trying to figure out why Solo Sikoa is trying to help Seth Rollins, and he says that's where he crosses the line. He's not trying to help. He's not trying to help Seth Rollins like he believes Seth Rollins and and Roman Reigns, according to LA Knight, are basically one and the same. He says that Roman Reigns has the fans conned, that they're constantly cheering OTC, but then he doesn't show up, like he didn't show up last night, but he's expected to be on Monday Night Raw next week. But yeah, and he's trying to figure out why Solo Sikoa would try to fight for a guy like that. I'm not like, he says, no. He said, no, that ain't what we're doing. That ain't what I'm trying to fight for. And I'm not fighting for Seth Rollins because he's basically like Roman Reigns, yada yada yada. And he says Roman Reigns is a guy that that everybody tries to be like. LA Knight is the guy that Roman wishes he could be, because it took him years to get over with the crowd and everybody booed him out of the building. But since day one, since LA Knight comes in, he gets everybody over, and everybody's basically has been cheering for him, and they have basically see what you can't deny, that he has that undeniable Kavorka, as he calls it. And he also says that Jacob Fatu, who's, like we said, in the main event, is going to be a match, is going to come out there with his I thought that was a little funny, is going to come out with his what he call it kind of music, is Mortal Kombat music. And I thought that was pretty much funny when he said that, and he said he's gonna come out and he's gonna try to stop him, but he can't stop him. Neither can Roman Reigns, neither can Seth Rollins, blase. And with everybody saying LA Knight, and he ends the promo like that. And right after, we get right into the main event, and right on cue, as scheduled. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah. But I'm dropping my phone and stuff. But right on schedule, we get Jacob Fatu. He comes out looking like a badass, no shirt, looking mean as hell, looking like he ready to kick ass. They start the match. They have a really good match. LA Knight and Jacob Fatu was a very competitive match, very entertaining match. Before the match is over, but the ending, toward the end of this match, we get Jimmy Uso comes out, and he kind of, I guess, trying to distract LA Knight or whatever. To a degree. Remember, Jimmy Uso was one of the only people of the bloodline that actually was trying to convince LA Knight, like, bro, we're not studying you right now. We got our own thing going on, which he was telling the truth. That's why I've recently been like on this whole, I have not been the biggest fan of LA Knight, but I also haven't been a hater of LA Knight either. I like LA Knight. I just feel like how he's been booked has been bad, and the story to him constantly bitching and moaning about bloodline and vision, this and that, and has not been a good look on him to me. But the last few weeks of him telling his truth and how he feels about Seth and Roman, to me, has actually, you know, it has. I love those promos that he's done the last couple weeks, because it sits with me, it resonates with me. It makes me feel like he's with it, everything that he's saying is not just a promo. That's how he legitimately feels. And him saying Solo trying to help him, it kind of makes him sick. It makes him vomit. He says, no, I can ride with Solo for one night, but I can't ride with you if you're trying to get Seth Rollins on board, which I kind of get that as well, because Seth Rollins, remember, a year ago with the Vision, was also in the way of LA Knight. So I definitely get that. Just because Roman and Seth are baby faces now don't mean, like, as far as LA Knight goes, I do agree with that. Just because y'all baby faces now don't mean that the stuff that y'all did in the past, I ain't forgot about it. Especially you, Seth Rollins, recently. This was just recent when you was trying to stop me from getting the World Heavyweight Championship. So we didn't get that. Jimmy Uso tries to distract him. It doesn't work. I think Royce Keys comes out. He attacks Jimmy Uso, and then we get the return of Main Event Jay. We get the return after a couple weeks of not being on TV. Main Event Jay Uso coming. They looking for him. They thinking he's about to come down the ramp. He comes out the crowd. He attacks. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Jimmy Uso tries to distract. As he's trying to distract, it doesn't work. Solo Sikoa then pops up out of nowhere. For the second week in a row. Patson, you would think Jimmy would finally say, hey, let me get away from this barricade, because Solo probably is going to be by this barricade like he has been in the last few weeks, but he hasn't. And Solo Sikoa pops up behind Solo Sikoa is just funny as hell with his emo faces and shit. He taps him on the shoulder, hits him with a Samoan spike. And Jacob Fatu, I think, tries to go after Solo again, and then you have Royce Keys then comes out and he helps Solo and LA Knight, it was just a whole lot of chaos in this main event, a whole lot of chaos. He then comes out, he attacks LA Knight. He helps LA Knight and Solo Sikoa. And then we get the return of Main Event Jay Uso. They're looking for him to come down the ramp. He comes down the ring. He hits a couple of super kicks on Royce Keys, a couple of super kicks on Solo Sikoa. And now at this point we got a full out brawl between the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Royce Keys, and LA Knight, who are gonna have a 6-man tag at SummerSlam. And LA Knight says that's why they're having this 6-man tag, so Solo Sikoa won't have to feel like he has to. He said that in the promo, so he won't feel like he has to help a guy like Seth Rollins. Like I said, we'll see where it goes from there. Everybody then, like, the Bloodline event, this leads to eventually the Bloodline leading, basically laying everybody out in the ring. Jimmy Uso hits a couple of frog splashes on Royce Keys and Solo Sikoa, I believe, or it was LA Knight. I believe it was LA Knight or Solo and Royce Keys. It was one of the two. I believe it may have been LA Knight. And Jimmy Uso gets back into the fray. He helps attack those guys, and we end the show with the Bloodline, Jacob Fatu, and the Usos standing tall, going into next week's Monday Night Raw, the final Raw, which I think is the go home Raw for SummerSlam next week. And let me just say, to be honest with y'all, I thought that it was just kind of everywhere. But lately with this, like, Monday Night Raw has been heavy Danhausen, heavy Bloodline, heavy Judgment Day, and that's it. That's it. Like, I would just love to see a lot more substance. I would love to see a little less Judgment Day. I would love to see the Bloodline, a little less Bloodline, but only if you're gonna have Roman there. I feel like obviously if Roman's not gonna be there every week, that's fine. But if you're going to keep having this story go week after week after week of basically Jacob Fatu chasing after Solo, I get that. Hopefully this story is going to, like LA Knight says, going to finally reach its point and we can finally move forward with this. But me personally, I would like to see a lot of things get shuffled around. A lot of guys like, and I'm sorry because I kind of forgot this match. Before we get that match, I don't know why I do this every week. I always speak. That's why I say Raw is a blur. We get the tag team of Chad Gable and Intercontinental Champion Penta versus the team of Rusev and Ethan Page. It was a really good match. If you don't know, Ethan Page, Chad Gable and Penta are going against each other at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship. Chad Gable being a challenger and Penta being a champion, and Chad Gable's hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hopefully he goes over in that match. But yeah, but before we get to that, I know the bloodline thing was the main event, but let me finish that off. Like, we'll see where they go from there. Hopefully everything plays out in the main event of with Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, and we kind of see where they head from there. Hopefully, I hope that they go straight into Oba, assuming Oba beats Brock. We go into Oba feuding with the bloodline. Even though me personally, I don't want to see Oba feud with the bloodline for months and months and months. But I would love to see them start kind of telling the story a little bit. Because as we get toward the back end of the year, going into once again almost WrestleMania season, it seems like comes around so quickly. As we get past WrestlePalooza, Money in the Bank, Survivor Series, and probably another crown jewel of Saturday night's main event. We just got entirely too many PLEs, by the way, because you don't get to let stories breathe because you got so many PLEs. And that's another problem as well. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. And we'll see where that goes. I just feel like a lot of these guys are all baby faces. We don't have a defined true heel, and so hopefully by after SummerSlam we have defined roles. This is the baby faces, these are the heels, these are the stories that we're going to tell, and let's just go like that. With the Chad Gable of it all, Chad Gable and Penta get the win over Rusev and Ethan Page. I actually hope that Chad Gable, even though Penta has been an amazing Intercontinental Champion since defeating Dom a few months ago earlier in the year, I would love to see, even though he's been an amazing champion, I would love to see him lose to Chad Gable, because I think Chad Gable right now, they have to capitalize off this momentum that he's had since losing the Mask versus Maz match against El Grande Americano. I kind of wish they would have kind of started telling that story then instead of him going on this apology tour, but nonetheless, they're telling that story now. That was a really good match that they had. Chad Gable is so underrated, man. Chad Gable has Rusev in an ankle lock. Penta jumps, then uses Chad Gable as a stepping stool to attack Ethan Page, and hits Ethan Page with a Mexican destroyer out of nowhere. I just thought that was amazing. You know, for Penta to be in his early 40s and do the stuff that he does sometimes, I'd be like, man, that dude is incredible. I can see Penta being a future world champion. Is he a guy that's going to carry the company moving forward? No, but I can definitely see Penta being a future world champion, holding winning the world title at least once or twice before he retires. He is that good. He is that good. They get the win. Chad Gable and Penta, they have a face-to-face. Basically, you know, they're friends now, but they're going to be foes at SummerSlam, but then they end up shaking each other's hand, and basically letting each other know that it's going to be on at SummerSlam, and that is one of the matches that I'm definitely looking forward to. And hopefully WWE makes the right decision. Like, this is one of the easier decisions, and have Chad Gable go over and beat Penta in that match. But that was Monday Night Raw. Like I said, I feel like, honestly, there was no Roman Reigns. He's supposed to come next week and have a final face-off with Seth. No Brock Lesnar as we expect, but he's supposed to come back next week, and they're supposed to have a weigh-in with Obafemi. That's making me cringe already just to think of, why do you need to have a weigh-in? Why are we having a weigh-in? Why? This is not a actual UFC fight. Why are we having a dumbass weigh-in? Just have these folks go at it. Have them go at it. Have Brock come out. Have Oba come out. Have Brock and Paul Heyman talking shit. They call out Oba. Oba comes out, and then you have the half of the locker room try to break them up. But instead, they then go to war with each other, and they're beating each other ass before SummerSlam, and they like, basically, and I feel like that should be like a main event, and then y'all go off air with Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. That's how I feel like Raw should go off air, because I feel like that's an even bigger match than Roman and Seth, to be honest. Even though Roman and Seth has the history and it's for a World Heavyweight Championship, I just feel like Oba and Brock in a Hell in a Cell is just probably, I feel like even if it's not for a championship, I feel like that match is just as big, if not a little bit bigger, just because of the people that are in it. And I would go off Raw with that. I would start Raw with Seth and Roman, and I would end it with Brock and Oba. That's just me. I wouldn't have a stupid ass weigh-in. I would have them attack each other and fight, and hype SummerSlam up for that. But like I said, Raw wasn't just a couple of segments were kind of entertaining, but none of the stories really just kind of progressed. There wasn't really anything new going on. It was an okay show. A few of the segments was heavy, like, let's kind of cut back. I get that WWE is trying to, like, I don't even want to just say WWE. I think this is TKO, not even WWE, just TKO is trying to make as much money as they can off these stars, like, and so they want to get those guys out there as much as possible, regardless of no story at all. And that's why you get a lot of these guys out there that don't have a story, and they're out here having all of these segments, having all this TV time that you're taking away from people who needs the TV time, people that you could have beneficial stories for, that could actually benefit and that could actually turn into stars. But too much Danhausen, too much Judgment Day, and just a little bit too much Bloodline just ran this entire Monday Night Raw last night. And that's just kind of how I feel about it. Overall, it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't as good, and it didn't tell a lot of stories, and it didn't advance anything. So we'll see what happens on Friday Night SmackDown this Friday, and then on the Go Home Raw next Monday moving forward. But like I said, Raw wasn't anything that I would say was something that was just special. Like, it wasn't anything spectacular. It was an okay show. It was just okay. It really wasn't that good. It was okay. It was okay as far as it had a couple of entertaining segments. Danhausen was entertaining. Oba is always entertaining. And Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, they have a couple. WWE knows how to have pretty good matches. They just don't always make sense with the stories that they're trying to tell, and then the people that you have participating in these matches, even though the matches are good, don't usually always make sense sometimes. And that's just where I'm at with it. But we'll see where they go. Hopefully next week they progress more story heading to SummerSlam, and we have more intrigue with both Roman and Brock being on Raw next week. So we'll see. But that was my Monday Night Raw review. If there's anything that you, to any of my wrestling fans, if there's anything that y'all wanted to add to it, don't be scared to leave a comment down below. And I'll be sure to talk about it in the next video. Whatever y'all want to talk about, hey, I'm always down to talk about it. It doesn't even have to be wrestling. It can be boxing. It could be NFL, NBA. We also have more NFL talk as well coming up too, as well. Anything you guys whatever you guys want to talk about in the world of sports or wrestling, UFC, or even just life in general, because like I always say, this is a life podcast just as much as it is a sports and entertainment podcast. I am in the business of promoting real shit and real people, and that's who I do this podcast for. That's what I started it, and that's how I'm going to finish it. That's how I'm going to keep going with it. Because without y'all, it wouldn't be a me, man. And for the people who support me, I appreciate y'all so much. To the people who've been watching this, I appreciate, like every video, I gotta thank y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. Like I say, you know the motto, we grinding every day. We gonna keep getting better. We gonna keep working. We gonna keep getting better. I'm about to get more microphones. I'm about to have more microphones. I'm about to get another camera, another phone. So it's a lot of stuff going on. So I appreciate y'all for grinding with me through the struggle, so we can get to the light. You know what I'm saying? And to any new subscribers, I appreciate y'all as well, man. to any of the new viewers, new watchers, subscribe below, leave a like and a like button, leave a like down below, leave a comment on things that you like, anything that you don't like, anything that you would like me to talk about, anything that you agree with me about, anything you disagree with me about, leave it in the comment, and I would definitely get back to y'all in the next video, and I'll be able to add those things to the next video. But as of right now, before I get out of here, I gotta thank my sponsor. I can't get off this video without thanking my sponsor. Every single day I have to start, every video I make, I have to start and end every video the same way, and that's by thanking my sponsor, your sponsor, our sponsor, God. Because without him, I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be talking about the things we are talking about. So shout out to the big God, shout out to God, and everything that he does, and sponsoring this podcast and sponsoring everything that we do in everyday life. So shout out to the big God, and shout out to you. Shout out to you. Shout out to the people that's actually going through real shit and making it look good and not complaining and making it every single day. So shout out to y'all. Y'all the real MVPs around here. With that being said, this is the Mercenary Podcast. This has been an episode of the Mercenary Podcast. I'll be back with another episode. Tomorrow. I may end up shooting another episode right after this episode, and might end up doing double duty, so stay tuned. I might end up dropping another video later on tonight. If not, I'm gonna be dropping it tomorrow. We got a lot of NFL stuff to talk about. We got a lot of more NBA stuff to talk about. We're still waiting on the decision from LeBron James, so we're gonna get into that. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all, love y'all, peace.